I couldn't help but think this, okay, is this not just Bubble Buddy, the movie? Like, I feel like they took Bubble Buddy from SpongeBob and they turned him into a waifu. That's what they did. They were like, imagine this. You watch SpongeBob? Bro, I watch SpongeBob. Bubble Buddy, Bubble Buddy. Waifu Bubble Buddy. Waifu Bubble Buddy. Hey, everyone listening and watching at home. It's the Nii-san Podcast that you're listening to and watching with your hosts, Crim, also known as the Asian Avenger, and this guy.
That's me. Josh just cackling in the background of this intro. And if
Stop,
for
you're
anyone,
messing me up, dude.
for anyone who's just listening and not watching, you just really missed out on like a good solid minute of Crim just feeling very out of sorts, and it was that was worth a belly laugh or two.
It feels
you,
like
you did that with so much confidence, dude. No one could even tell.
Thanks, I think. It's like when you're like you're about to do your vocal solo or your guitar solo and you're just like, "Oh crap, hold on, I actually have to do this by myself."
Yes. Anyways, like Crim said, we are the Nii-san Podcast, and today we're going to be talking about a recent movie that just came out on Netflix called Bubble. But before we get into that, let's talk news with the Weeb Weekly.
Ooh, Weeb
All right.
Weekly.
Weeb Weekly. Okay.
Weebly. That's guitar sweeps.
Oh yeah,
That's guitar
Weebly.
sweeps.
I like that.
Weebly.
So I guess first thing on the block, one thing I want to talk about is the fact that the Overwatch 2 beta is happening right now, and no one knew.
Yeah, I was gonna say what?
Yeah, I don't know. This was news to me, and I only knew about this because somebody randomly messaged me about it, and I was like, oh wow, that's happening. Overwatch 2, it's happening. It's for real. And then a recent Donkey video came out also about Overwatch 2, and I didn't play a lot of Overwatch, okay? Crim, you probably played Overwatch more than I have. I played up until Sombra came out, I think. And there's like a billion more characters after Sombra. So I didn't play that much. I played a good amount when it first launched. And when I looked at Overwatch 2, I was like, I can't tell the difference between Overwatch 1 and 2. So yeah, as far as I can tell, the only difference is PvP wise is that Overwatch 2 has less players. So yeah,
less toxicity. Oh god, my new dog is actually also in this podcast now. As you can hear, Dormu is just squeaking his burrito. I got him another burrito, so there's 2 burritos in my house. Nice. So yeah, I was really hyped on Overwatch 2 for a while because I heard they were totally reinventing the game. They're going to add a lot, right? I'm like, okay, cool, because a lot had happened since 1, right? I played, actually, legitimately, I played tanks and I grinded tanks. I got up to Diamond. I was like pushing like probably like 3,500 elo.
Oh.
And so like I was very good at tanking, right? I also chose to do anything that just did not require me to aim. So like Roadhog would be like kind of on the back end of my list of tanks that I would play, but all the other ones I'd play religiously. So I think I played up until Doomfist came out.
Okay.
A little bit after Doomfist came out. And I got tired of getting fisted. And then I know what I said. And I then like the game just got more toxic. The plays, the team comps, they got kind of boring. The way they balanced each hero seemed poor. And so I was like, okay, so this game just needs either a bunch of reworks and all this other stuff, some other ways to enjoy the world, because I love League of Legends. I love the characters. Sorry, but I hate the game. So I for the longest time I was desperate to find more ways to be a part of the world of League without actually having to play League.
Right.
And that's where TFT, all this other stuff, lore came out, all these things that made me happy. That made me very happy. So I always love the Overwatch characters, but I want more than just playing actual Overwatch with the miserable comps and the miserable toxicity. So I heard going into this, they were adding a PvE mode, and they were going hard on the PvE mode. And
yeah.
Is that where all of this is going? Because right now, prior to you, I actually forgot there was a beta until somebody came in 2 days ago. I was like, hey, beta's coming up. I'm like, oh, it is already? When's the game coming out. And so I saw some footage, nothing new. I just assumed that they just hadn't finished the game yet, so it's a teaser. But I didn't know there's a full-blown beta, and nothing looks different in PvP.
Yeah, TBH, I'm just like, again, Overwatch 1 isn't even that old of a game, so I wasn't even sure what to expect, but like, I was expecting some big level of change, right? And it really does seem like that between Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2, the main difference was there's less people now. And I guess like, on one hand, that probably means that each individual player has more, what is it? I forgot what the word is.
Value.
Yeah. Like, so maybe you have a little bit more like say in how matches go, which is, I think, a good thing, right? But aside from that, like, really, that's what you're going to make people pay like $60 to $80 more for this game for, And so it leads me to believe that a lot of that retail price has to be made up in the consumer's eye in the PvE mode. So like, I don't know, man, like I'm guessing there's going to be a cool story potentially or something. I don't know. I really don't know.
I question that though, because like, how cool. I know, you too, Dormu. I know. I question how
big Overwatch fan. He's like, how dare you slander this game? I've been playing Overwatch
not happy
2.
with where this conversation's going. I pre-ordered it as a dog.
He's like, they shafted McCree in this one. I'm so sick of it.
He got a new name. A new name.
He's like Ryan or something, right?
He's like Ryan or like Jared or something like that. So, which by the way, like, how good can the PvE be though? Like what is the PvE? Because it's not an MMO, right? So how good can this PvE be? And like, I'm worried here. This is like the same issue I had with Destiny into Destiny 2. And wherein that is, Destiny was great up to a point, right? I had the time of my life, probably one of the most addictive games possible. Nothing changed, the Crota, the one where you fight on the moon, the raids were fun, the PvE was fun, the PvP was fun.
Yeah.
And then 3 expansions that came out after that just sucked, right? They didn't do anything new, it was the exact same thing. And then Destiny 2 came out, and it just felt like DLC. It didn't feel like a full new game. I didn't feel like it got anything.
Right,
and I'm worried this is falling right into that, right? Like, it doesn't look like there's anything new. It doesn't feel like there's anything new. And, I mean, I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping the PvE just, like, straight up, like, obliterates my clothing and just blows me away.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. I just don't see what really has changed. And so, personally speaking, as somebody who only played Overwatch for a bit after it came out, I don't see this as something that I go, oh yeah, this is now my chance to get back into it, right? I'm like, bro, you're gonna make me pay $60 more to play the same game? Like, I don't get it. I really could not tell you why I would want to buy this game. So personally, I'm out on this one. And if you watch the Donkey video, it sounds like he's out too. It's a good video. You should definitely watch it.
I can't wait to see it because Donkey's always funny. And second off, I'm very on the fence with this because I got bit in the ass with the Destiny 2 purchase. So, I mean, if the only thing that's going to happen is they're going to shut down Overwatch servers, then I think that's the only thing, right? Like, oh, well, all the servers are down and now we're on 2, so that's how we're getting you. We'll see.
Yeah. So aside from Overwatch, any other things you want to bring up?
Yeah, I wanted to bring up family. I wanted to specifically bring up family. Now, everyone listening and watching, like, oh, is it about to get really dark?
Like Spy X Family?
No, not that kind of family. I'm talking family. Specifically, Vin Diesel. Specifically, the Fast and Furious. So, if you couldn't... Okay, there's a bunch of horns and sirens going on right now. I don't know. It's really annoying, but
they're also very mad about the Overwatch 2 beta.
Seriously, everyone's just like immediately rushing to go be upset at Blizzard. But I wanted to bring up the Fast and Furious because it's on Fast 10, right? This is supposed to be the final 2 movies. Of course, a movie with so much plot and depth as Fast and Furious needed to be split into 2 movies, right?
Right.
So, because, I mean, they're going to do time travel and all this soon, right? And so they lost their director in Justin Lin because... apparently, Vin Diesel is extremely difficult to work with. He shows up whenever he wants. like literally people are there hours before and he just shows up like casually 3 hours later, who knows, whenever he feels that he runs the show. And then on top of that, apparently he just like, I don't know, like he just shows up super out of shape. Everyone had kind of like apparently made a pact, I assume, in these movies to get in shape together and be good to get fit their roles. And he just shows up doing whatever. So now so first off, Justin Lin has been a great addition to that franchise and kind of the main reason why that franchise has taken off as opposed to like the first three, or I guess the first two. Thank you. And thank you, Dormu. And then on top of that, it's like The Rock had left the franchise because apparently Vin Diesel was hard to work with. Before I was like, okay, maybe these are just two dudes who struggle to like process who's alpha and are kind of like having a dick measuring contest, right? I could see that. But the director, while filming, like this is like mid-filming. It wasn't like months before filming. This is like as we're filming. So every day that they didn't have a director, they were losing, I believe it was $1 million a day. And I think it took about almost a week. And they finally replaced Justin Lin with Luis Leterrier, who, if you don't know, did the Incredible Hulk, the Edward Norton one. Now You See Me, Clash of Titans, stuff like that. I don't feel good about that because the Edward Norton Hulk is my least favorite and the most painful thing to watch in the MCU. We're not talking the Eric Bana one where he's like in the like the Hulk is there in the last 2 minutes, but yeah, the Norton one. And Now You See Me is not that great. Clash of the Titans was really bad, but visually cool. So I'm not sure if this strikes any confidence in me moving forward. But yeah, like for those that are we're excited for Fast 10, buckle up.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like they had to get whoever was available, right? If every single day that was going by was $1 million, because, you know, yeah, they've got film crews standing by. You've got makeup people standing by. You've got like, you know, you've got hundreds of people standing by to film this movie and there's no director, you know, like obviously that's not okay. And so they're finding people, and to hear that Vin Diesel of all people is that hard to work with, one, it sort of surprises me because I had always heard that Vin Diesel was like a nice guy. So to hear him like Hollywood is kind of it just feels kind of sad, I think, and to hear that like, oh, so many people found him so unprofessional that they quit on the spot, you know, with Vin Diesel, and I think that's like super not great of him, right? Like this is a really bad look for him. And
whatever happened to We Are Groot, you know? Like we can't be Groot if there's only you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think obviously this makes him look bad, but maybe he just doesn't care. Like obviously the Fast and Furious have made lots of money. And
more movies than they probably should.
Yeah, right. At this point. So
they reinvented themselves thanks to Justin Lin though. So
well, they don't have him anymore, so they're gonna have to reinvent him again. So, and we'll see about that.
Time travel. You're hearing it first here. Time travel.
Yeah, we go into the future where Vin Diesel is overweight apparently and doesn't care. So
he's on time.
Yeah. So this is actually all a meta structure of the story of Fast and Furious, and they have to convince him to lose weight to care about family again, so that way they can finish the movie. Like that's what this entire plot line is. I don't know, dude.
What's that movie with James Franco? Rip that guy. But like with Seth Rogen, and they it's essentially the movie that is about the making of The Room.
Oh,
do you know what I'm talking about?
I do know. Oh, what? I don't remember what it's called.
Something artist, like escape artist or something like that. It's hilarious.
I never watched it, so I'm not sure.
But
yeah,
like so. Closing thoughts on that is pretty much this kind of sucks. Fast, the final two movies, and like this is gonna leave me with the same taste in my mouth, like how the second the last Star Wars saga was, Episode 7, 8, and 9. What if J.J. Abrams stayed to do 8 and 9? Yeah. Right now, we're like, if this sucks, we're gonna wonder what if always, right? I mean, I don't know how devout Fast and Furious fans are, but you know.
I also wonder how much like Fast and Furious fans are like, did anything change? I didn't see anything change. You know what I mean? Like,
what if it never skips a beat?
Yeah, like it just there's no difference because it turns out writing a Fast and Furious story and directing a Fast and Furious movie isn't actually all that, you know, technical.
I don't think I could do it, man. It's pretty intense, dude. You gotta think about the levels of stupidity to reach.
I say it in jest because, of course, these guys are very skilled and, so on and so forth. However, I'm just saying, like, it's not exactly the highest art form. I'm just going to put it that way. So I'm just going to put it that way. Okay, anyways, let's move on.
Okay.
Just this next thing I want to bring up is not very fun, but I thought it was worth bringing up, and it's about Roe. I am woeful. Roe versus Wade potentially being overthrown, and I think that's a super shitty thing that's happening right now. And I don't want to get too like bungled up in this stuff, but I just want to point out that, like, hey, I think like this whole thing is super shitty of the Supreme Court, and I don't support it. And yeah,
old white dudes determining how women should handle things is not exactly a good look. That's not what we're looking for in 2022. So yeah, this is, we always got to take 50 steps back, right? So
apparently. So besides about the political state of the United States and its downfall and whatever, and my overall doomerism about the universe, let's get on to talking about Bubble, which is actually a post-apocalyptic story. See, look at that amazing segue.
Oh my god, that transition was flawless, dude.
Thank you.
One would say that the transition was poppin' because it's a bubble.
Oh my god. So yeah, let's talk about Bubble, which is going to be the meat of today's episode. For anyone who doesn't know what Bubble is, it's a new movie, again, on Netflix, directed by Tetsuro Araki, who is well known for Death Note, High School of the Dead, and Attack on Titan.
There we go.
Yeah, so very well known director, I think. And on top of that, this movie has other really big names on its staff list. So Hiroyuki Sawano for the music. Obviously, people know who Sawano is. Sawano has a very classic sort of sound to him, and has scored a lot of people's favorite anime and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. This was also written by Gen Urobuchi, who has written some famous stories like Psycho-Pass, Fate Zero, and Madoka. So this is a sort of like an all-star lineup, I would say, of people behind the staff here. So, yeah, let's dig into it. Let's go over the sort of what happens in the plot and synopsis. I'm assuming people have watched it, but we'll go into this anyways. But essentially, Bubble takes the place in Tokyo, where this giant bubble storm happened and wiped out Tokyo, and it's left basically a post-apocalyptic society that's left behind, with kids who are orphaned and other people who like can't live in the normal world. They've come to this sort of area that is basically a gang turf war that's settled through parkour. This feels like one of those things, what is it, where like in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie where it's like, let's settle this with a dance off. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this is like very Footloose like esque, but yeah.
Yeah.
The resources here are like obviously, scarce, so this is like their ways of figuring out who gets what and how to divvy things up, right? Like they're gonna do parkour. And so they say that, it's just so funny to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say it's ridiculous, right? Like the concept of the story is just ridiculous. It's like, oh, bubbles destroyed the world. Okay, got it. Destroyed Tokyo, and to settle, we parkour across it.
I can get down with the bubbles. I just really can't. Like, okay, I think it's when you take parkour and the bubbles together. I'm like, okay, hold on. Okay, we just talked about Fast and Furious. I can handle a lot. There's just some things where I'm like, but what?
Yeah, so they describe it in the story that basically these bubbles cause like gravitational warps that happen. They call them antlion pits and stuff, and it creates all sorts of wacky sort of structures that happen, like very at the end of Enter the Multiverse and or Spider-Verse, you know, the ending scenes where they're in the thing and like trains are flying by, buildings are falling down. Like there's a lot of that happens in Bubble. So yeah, it's kind of a crazy movie. It's got a crazy sort of plot synopsis. It's a little bit all over the place, but basically the major theme to the thing is that this guy meets a girl who apparently is made up of these bubbles, and they make a lot of comparisons, I suppose, to The Little Mermaid with these two, where this guy who is like this super sick parkour guy, he's the best one out there, and this bubble girl who later is named Uta. Which translates to song, you know, basically falls in love with him, and they parkour together to compete and stuff. And one day, it's realized that she cannot stay there, and the bubble overlord requires her to be back.
I think that's her sister.
Yeah, she says sister. Overlordess. I whatever this overlord being of bubbles is, and so we find that their time is short and short-lived, and she must return back. Very similar to The Little Mermaid. She gets her feet and then she loses them, and she must return to the sea.
Right on.
So yeah, that's kind of like the main story, which is interesting because I feel like these days there's been a few of these movies that have the Little Mermaid concept. I don't know if you watched
Avatar. No, not Avatar. That's more like that's like Pocahontas more than anything.
Oh, I was gonna say Belle, which was another recent movie. Which
I did not watch that. The animated one, right?
Yeah, and that one also has kind of a similar thing where it's like, like kind of a place you don't really belong, that you only had a foothold in for a temporary time, and then you're forced to return back to the real world essentially. Yeah, I don't know. I have to say that it's kind of hard to pick apart the themes that happen within Bubble because it's a little bit all over the place. And like the Little Mermaid references too is probably like the biggest thing, and they hammer that home very hard. Like
they really do.
They were like
heavy-handed.
Turn left corner, there's a Little Mermaid. Turn right corner, there's another Little Mermaid reference. It's just Little Mermaid everywhere. And aside from that, like the other kind of main theme throughout the movie is sort of the importance of sound, I guess, and like music, because the main character's name is Hibike, which I believe translates to sound. And again, the girl who's made of bubbles is named Uta, which means song. And I don't know. They're like the only two people who can hear this like weird song that's being sung by the bubble overlords, and they're drawn to it.
So
yeah.
Yeah, so like if you're still processing that right now, because that's obviously not the easiest thing to just comprehend here, but yeah, like there's a lot of things that are music, it seems like sound related, because there's numerous times where Uta like kind of like hums these hymns, you know what I mean? Like kind of has these melodies that you hear throughout that kind of replay throughout the whole movie. And then on top of that, like it's important because only Hibiki is able to hear it, because he's hypersensitive, so only he can hear these sounds.
Yeah.
And so since he was the first person to hear the sound and hear the song, I don't even know what you call a baby bubble, but Uta in her first baby bubble form, when the first explosion happened in Tokyo, she sought him out because she noticed that he could hear her and the song.
Yeah.
So she then chose to protect him, to save him, and do all this other stuff. And then, so yeah, like, okay, this is a lot to take in and a lot to break down, but yet at the same time, it's so much nothing, because I feel like there were so many scripts mashed together that I can't fully tell you what this is really about. And like, it's still kind of like unfortunate, because there's parts of this movie that I really like. There's parts of this movie I really liked. I mean, when the romance was on screen, I enjoyed it. It was cute. It was lighthearted. It was, and then like it was sweet, right? And I wish they kind of just, I know that the first simp would say this, but I kind of wish they would explore that better and like more of that. And they would have explored more about the bubbles, bubble kind, if you will, right? But the problem is then they try to throw in these parkour scenes and these other random scenes. And then there's Makoto, who's like the teacher that is clearly there for plot. Like literally every scene she's leaned over and her boobs are pressed up, and her shots that they have of her are just her ass. And I'm just like, word. Okay, I see what's going on here. But for the most part, it just felt like a lot of the first half of the movie, right? Like the first like 15, 20 minutes of the movie happens. Then the middle part where it doesn't really expand on anything. Actually, the whole movie doesn't really expand on anything.
Yeah.
Every question that they asked, everything that they like kind of brought up, they didn't really answer much of it. We don't know much about the bubbles, and apparently we just meet her sister out of nowhere who does, I don't know. She just stands there or like exists, and like it. I just felt like we don't know much about the bubble kind.
This is kind of yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
They wanted us to not know much, right? Like it seems like it's one of those things where it's better to not know, like where they come from, what their intentions are, but why, right? Like this is one of those things where you can't just leave open ended. I think you should at least tell us that, because it seems like that's the movie is called goddamn Bubbles, right? Like if I gave you a movie with Iron Man and you did not see Iron Man or understand how he exists, no backstory, like this kind of sucks, right?
Yeah. So I think my biggest problem with this movie has to do with the story. I think that's going to be a lot of people's kind of takeaway from the movie, I think, is that the story is really lacking. And I think what's awkward about it is that like this plot of the movie has a beginning, middle, end, you know, like the story structure is all there, but it's all like skeleton parts. There aren't really any meat to any of the things that happen, right? And so kind of like what you're saying, like I don't really understand the relationship of bubbles, gravity, and why Tokyo, and like what they have to do with Uta, and why Hibike was like kind of like specially chosen out, and the significance of hearing the song, even like what does that mean? Right. Like I was left with more questions after watching the movie than answers, and I think that was a problem area for the movie, 100%. And I wanted to, you know, because the movie sets up again like, oh, there's this guy and he's kind of a loner and he doesn't want to like do anything with other people, but then a girl enters his life and they get along kind of, and he like falls in love with her and yada yada yada. But it's like, oh, it's a Romeo and Juliet story where she dies or like has to return to, you know, bubble kind, yada yada yada.
Bubble kind, yeah.
But at the same time, it didn't really feel like a tragedy because I didn't really understand. Like the turning points in that relationship never really got fleshed out, right? Like, why did he fall in love with her? Really, just because?
I think it's so the bubble found him, right?
Yeah,
the bubble found him and saved him.
Yeah.
So she's kind of like this guardian angel, right? And it's shown that way because when he starts to drown, she kisses him, forms herself, and then kisses him. Right?
Yeah.
And like there is this minor thing we did leave out where she cannot be touched because she's bubbles. Eventually, I think the point like behind this is that like, yeah, she saves him, she saves his life. They have that moment on the train that they come back and, you know, they sit there, they kind of talk a little bit and kind of it's which is beautifully shot, by the way. This is a very visually beautiful movie. Oh my God. But this I think they tried to add these little cute knit moments, right? And then, of course, the singing and parkouring together. This is a full, like, I thought the romance was okay. I think that they definitely took away with that. But I don't, you're right, though, in that what was the purpose? I think how I process this was I think it's because she views herself as, like, you know, she's a bubble and then this person can finally understood her. So she protected him.
Yeah, maybe. I'm gonna be honest, like when the ending happened and she returns and all that stuff, I was like, am I supposed to feel sad? Like, bro, you knew each other for like maybe a week. You know, I didn't feel anything from their romance. And it was like it was the beginning of something, but it never really got to a point where like why this is. Yeah, I don't know, man. I just
have you never gone parkouring with somebody? That's like birth. They made for life, dude.
That's family, bro.
Exactly.
When we parkour together, we die together. I didn't get it. I really didn't. I wanted to get it. I just didn't get it. And somebody in the comments maybe can tell me what I missed here, but I felt like this movie would have been way more impactful if they had spent a little time fleshing out the significance of some of these events, right? Because like in the end, I don't know what the story of Bubble was supposed to be about. Is it about like a love that was like an impossible love, you know? Because Little Mermaid, Uta is made of bubble. She can never touch and be part of Hibike's world forever. Is that the point of the movie? But
I think that's it. I think that's the whole point of it, right? The untouchable, like the impossible love, the one that you can never like really get, right? And that's why she fades away, she foams up, and then bubbles away. I felt something there. I mean, on like the cryometer, I didn't cry that hard, but I definitely was like misty eyed. I was like, okay, that's beautiful. I think it's because the animation and all of that. And I did enjoy the romance again. Like I thought it was cute, but I don't understand why the romance exists, and I don't understand the bubble part. I'm like, please, somebody explain the bubbles. Why are red bubbles evil?
Yeah. Well, so that's the thing, right? Is that I think
bubble,
the thing that was
wall.
really to red bubble, blue bubble. One, it's the Dr. Seuss book. I just the thing that really gets me with the relationship is that okay, so if the basis of why the relationship works is that he was saved by her. And so she saves him again, and he realizes it now. And so he realizes how important she is to him. But what's weird about it is that, like, she was part of this giant phenomenon, this bubble apocalypse thing that happened. And so what? Like, I guess it's this weird thing where she is both the alpha and omega of the story. And he's just kind of the passerby who just happened to be there. And so that's why like the connection between Uta and Hibike too felt always just kind of like superficial at best. It was just like, oh, they just happenstance happened to be in the same space as this like giant apocalypse happened, right? And like, sure, he was the one able to hear her song, but like, what does her song even mean? What is like the?
That's the question, right there.
Right? And like,
I think that's correct.
But what is it,
like, what
right?
You're wondering. No, I don't know that. Like, okay, I don't care about the happenstance part. I think the happenstance part is fine, right? I mean, there's tons of rom-coms and things like they're just like, oh, because they happen to be there at the same time, right? We're talking like Your Name. I loved Your Name, but technically, if you look at Your Name as a movie, it kind of doesn't make sense. Like there's plot holes and things you could have done, like along the way. But so I don't mind the happenstance. My question is exactly what you're asking. What the fudge does the song mean?
Yeah.
Why? What is the significance of him hearing the song? Is it because he can understand her and that no one else has? Because then what about the rest of the bubble kind? Are they not like her? Can they not form themselves? This thing that bothers me so much, like I want to like the movie. I want to simp for the movie because there's parts of it that I really liked and I think that were beautiful and just like gorgeous art-wise, artistically, and music-wise. The music carries this whole goddamn movie. The music and animation, I think most of my feelings came from the music. It's so well written. It could evoke any emotion you wanted.
Aesthetics-wise, so, besides the story, which I think we've kind of harangued on about being very confusing and stuff, the visually and aesthetics-wise, I think this movie was a 10 out of 10. If you could ignore the story entirely and this is a movie just being rated on its sounds, musics, the art, the animation, I mean, it's a 10 out of 10, right? This is everything you've always wanted out of Wit Studio, I in my opinion, right? You have the sort of it feels like they took all the things that they learned from Attack on Titan and applied it here. with the crazy sort of like camera tricks, and the people who are doing parkour are just flying all over the screen, right? Like they are just like, you feel like they're doing crazy acrobatics, right? Like it feels crazy to watch them do these things, and they're in such a cool environment for it. It's very Mirror's Edge, but like
that's exactly what I was thinking, dude.
But
Mirror's
like even
Edge.
more broken down, which I think creates a really cool environment for parkour, right? Like they're like sliding across glass as like buildings are crashing down on them, trains are flying by, and they're like, oh, like it's so cool. Like I want to play the video game, the rhythm video game set to the music in this, because the music, even the melody that keeps playing over and over, the sound of the melody is very like ethereal, and it just like catches your heart when you listen to it. It sounds like a melody of a song that you heard a long time ago that is on the tip of your tongue, but you can't quite remember it, but it means something to you. That's like the quality.
And it's so sad.
Yeah.
It's like got this melancholy kind of like vibe to it. It's just like, which I think is intentional, right? Because this is where I think, you know, like she wants to be understood or somebody to hear her, right? And I think that's why this song feels that way. It feels like it's longing for you to be understood. It's hard to describe a song or a sound, so you'll just have to hear it and you'll kind of get it. But like, yeah, oh my God. And then another thing that was like beautiful, like I don't know if you remember, it's like when the planet explodes with bubbles.
Yeah.
And there's like this huge whirlpool around Earth that is just all these bubbles. I thought that was gorgeous. Or when she starts singing on the rock, right? Like not on Dwayne Johnson, just like standing on like a boulder or something like that. And all these bubbles are coming up and she starts singing, and visually it is stunning. Her looking in the fields of grass. When Hibiki and Yuta are together, the first time they touch and parts of her like disappears and disintegrates, foams up and then disappears. This is an 11 out of 10 visually for me. I think this is such an amazing and a beautifully animated movie. I think the girl, Bubble Chan, Uta, was such a, like her outfit is just a schoolgirl, but the way they made it like split between colors, I thought that was a really good design. The dude, you know, like every anime dude, he's like in a track jacket or something like that, right? But like
he wears a crop top. That's kind of cool. That's unusual.
Oh, wild! Yeah, that's game changing. Really pushing. If that's what we're excited for main characters in anime, I'm like kind of, you know, come on, man.
That's kind of like, where I'm at, man.
Give him like a tattoo, you know, like give him a tattoo, right? Just one, something, just make it look a little different. But like, in music wise and sound engineering, everything was so good, but. Also, I couldn't help but think this, okay, is this not just Bubble Buddy, the movie? Like, I feel like they took Bubble Buddy from SpongeBob and they turned him into a waifu. That's what they did. They were like, imagine this. You watch SpongeBob? Bro, I watch SpongeBob. Bubble Buddy, waifu Bubble Buddy. Waifu Bubble Buddy.
Yeah, that is about the depth at which this movie really achieved to hit. So yeah, I think you might be onto something here.
The Bubble Buddy waifu movie.
Yeah. I think.
Okay.
I honestly think though that my impression of this movie might be different if I had seen it in theaters. Maybe like I don't know if Bubble was ever in theaters, but like. Again, kind of comparing this to the other movie, Belle, which I think has a lot of similar themes, same kind of like music and kind of visually stunning. But the thing was like Belle, when you watched it in the movie, like the big screen, the animation just comes alive even more, and the sound from the theater and stuff like really amped up. Like I wonder if this was just a movie that you had to have watched in the big theater to really get the full experience of, because like. I don't know.
That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing.
Yeah,
like,
no,
right?
it's not. But
like, I mean, I felt like I picked up on that. The visuals, the sound, I love that. It was beautiful. Like the music was driving or like so emotional. But
yeah,
I mean, Avatar, right? Like Avatar. Speaking of a movie that finally got its new trailer, like 11 years after the second movie was supposed to come out, a movie that's driven purely on visuals. it's all surface value stuff, right? And this is kind of how I felt about this. Like, my first impression on this is still a little. I give this like legitimately. I think this gives like a D plus, like a C minus, a C. It is so average. Yeah. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, right? Like I've watched some bad ones. It's not that bad. It's and I think 90% of it is carried by the visuals and audio. But I think the things that really take away from this movie is I just still don't understand the significance of these goddamn bubbles and the goddamn song. And what the fudge does that sister have to do with anything? Like, yeah.
And like, why even mention the sister ever? Like, if they had just been like you know, just like the entity, I would have. That would have been more interesting to me, and than just like her calling it sister. I don't know. The story. I don't want to keep beating at this dead horse here, but like this story just did not make sense, and had the opportunity to. I think this movie, if you could rewrite it a little bit, I think this could have had something special happen here, especially with how much like the animation, the voice acting, the music all came together in such great spectacle that the story was just so thin that they could only do so much to move you emotionally through the movie. Like, again, I'm with you here. I can't really ever recommend this movie for someone to watch. I think this is like probably one of the biggest disappointments of things that I was excited for, because I think in very many episodes prior to this one, I was saying how excited I was for Bubble and how like, oh, it's weird, but like I think they're gonna do something cool with it. Turns out they did nothing. Well, it was cool to look at, but it was forgettable at the very best. It was completely forgettable, and I can't rate this higher than say like a 6.5, which is such a shame. Yeah. I think like. I don't know.
This was like a big one for me too. Fresh off the heels of like watching Attack on Titan and all this stuff, because I finally caught up, and then like seeing the Magic Kamigawa trailer, the anime trailer. I'm like, Wit Studio, like, you know, and doing a movie. I'm just like, yes, dude, I'm on a Wit high right now. And dude, I think my closing thoughts, as I had mentioned, it's like a C minus C, but like the best way to put this, you've got this stacked director group, right? Like you've got these writers, you've got all these, like the superstar lineup that you had mentioned. And it just makes me think of this past year's Lakers. You had Russell Westbrook, you had all these like wonderful A-list team superstars. And like I remember at the beginning of the season, I was like, dude, they're gonna kill it this year. If they get their stuff together, they're gonna gel together. And they didn't even make the playoffs. They're the most mediocre team of all time, and so much wasted talent. And that's how I feel about this. Like this could have been so much more, and it makes me really sad because the talent is there. Yeah. Every bit of it. Oh, it's such a bummer.
Yep. Yeah, there's nothing more really to say other than that, right? It's just like I want to see them do a redo. You know, you're like, okay, you guys,
Snyder cut.
Yeah, this is a great first try, guys. Great job. Okay, let's just do that again, but maybe let's like do it better on the writing front, huh? How's that sound?
Control Z, just one gigantic Control Z.
I cannot tell you how disappointed I am with this movie. I just really, really, really wanted to like this movie, and like I'm just so disappointed. And with Studio again, like they're coming off of a year where they've been losing a lot of money because they're trying to invest in themselves. I want Wit Studio to succeed, but this is not the way to do it. They need. And I've been saying this about anime for a long time, but like, I find that the weakest parts of anime always happen with the writing. You know, it's never like these studios clearly are capable of making beautiful animated, things. Like I cannot stress how beautiful this movie is. I love the parkour scenes and there's just the scenery, and they do the what's the other Wit show where with the cyborgs and stuff, with the girl who is like a pop diva,
Vivi,
yeah. And they did the same thing with Vivi, where they have these sort of like I don't know how to call them, but like super high res shots of people where they give this these like extremely detailed like just like scenes of things. Like you'll see it in like the you'll see it in like
the flower scene,
important parts of the movie, or like when he's crying at the end over the loss of Uta and stuff like that. You'll notice that like their eyes are incredibly detailed. Their hair has like a kind of a sheen that you don't normally see within the movie. So you know, like they brought together all of these pieces of things that I felt like Wit Studio has learned over the last few years of, you know, being an animation studio. But the story, man, the story, how could you forget? It's like they did all this work to bring to something alive, and they just forgot that there's a missing component, which is the story, which is writing.
I think I would rather skim on, believe it or not, the visuals. I think you can cut a little bit there and then just, you know, give us a little bit of a story.
Why not have it all, Crim? You can just have it all. Wouldn't you want that?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, but I assume something's got to go, right? You can never have it all. You know what I mean? So, but yeah. So I guess, you know what? With me bringing us in, am I gonna close us out too?
Yeah. Oh, do it. Let's do it. Let's hear it.
All right. Well, it doesn't get any easier, actually.
Can't do it worse than Bubble, so.
I guess that's true. Well, thanks so much for watching and listening, everybody, to the Nii-san Podcast with us two, of course. I'm just redoing the intro, apparently. And thanks for watching today. Thanks for listening. If you haven't done so, check out the movie if you want to catch it, to better understand what we're doing. You know, our opinions. I think these are just our opinions. Obviously, if you like the movie, if you understood it on a deeper level, because maybe our brains are too smooth to comprehend, give it to us in the comment section. We'd love to hear the counter perspective and the all of that. So let us know, and you know, and also watch it for yourself. You know, don't take our word as final. Watch it for yourself. Give us your opinion on it, and follow us on all our socials. And we are so close to 600 subs. And you know, we were sorry for the last couple of weeks of missed content. We were a little bit under the weather, so we're back in full swing of things. So thanks for tuning in each week, no matter what we put out, no matter if you've watched or seen it. Just thanks for coming and hanging out with us. Anything else, Xell?
No.
You wanted to say something.
I just wanted to say, hell yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
See you in the next video. I closed out.